Hi, my name is Beth, and I am really privileged to have this opportunity to share with you about the faithfulness of God. It was about a month ago when Lauren from Hope is Alive called and asked if I would share of God's faithfulness, and I remember thinking to myself, Beth, the question isn't, will you share? The question is, how in the world can you not share? He has been so incredibly faithful to you your whole entire life. So here I am. As I started to think about what this would look like and what I would share today, I came up with some different thoughts, but I want to talk about right now just his overall faithfulness. And there are times when that faithfulness just kind of screams at us. It's like just so obvious. It's those moments when you look and you go, that had to be you, God. So those are those faithful moments I'm going to talk about for a minute, and then we're going to talk about everyday faithfulness. But I was thinking about those moments in my life, and I was thinking about what that looked like, whether it was when we had job situations, whether it was my husband or myself, and God was faithful. I was thinking about when we were raising our children, that God was faithful to help us with that. And there were times when we didn't get that right, when we weren't the greatest at being parents, and yet God was faithful. And even now, they're grown and married, and we see God's faithfulness in their lives. So we're so thankful for that. I think about his faithfulness in ministry. God has allowed me to teach women's Bible studies and just to be used in ways that I never imagined. There's times when I think to myself, God, are you sure you have the right girl? And then he reminds me that it's everyday, ordinary people he loves to do work through, so that he can be seen, and his goodness can be seen. So I'm humbled, and I just feel so like I can't even believe that I get to do those things that I get to do for him. I think about his faithfulness in how he has, over the years, given me peace in times of fear, times of anxiety. I'm thankful for his faithfulness in putting some really amazing friends in my life that have supported me and encouraged me. I'm forever thankful for his word that is chock full of his promises. I'm thankful for protection, that he is faithful. I remember one day I was coming home from the gym, and I was at an intersection at a light, and the light had turned green, and I put my foot on the gas to go, and it was kind of a very weird feeling. It felt like something was holding my car back, so much so that I looked down at the pedal thinking there was something wrong with the pedal, and as I was looking down at the pedal, I looked up, and an 18-wheeler had run the light right through the intersection. And I know what would have been had I not been held back. And I knew at that moment that was God, that was divine. And I was shaking. I mean, I was like visibly, my body was shaking. And I was shaking that I was thankful and just kind of that after something like that happens. But I also was shaken by the fact that God, how many times have you intervened in my life? How many times have you been faithful to me when I didn't even know? I still don't even know. Someday I probably will know when we're in heaven, but I don't really know. all the ways that you have been so incredibly faithful to me. So those are ways that have been just so obvious. But I really want to talk about is everyday faithfulness, because it's in the everyday of life that we see how faithful he is. I love the verse in Lamentations 3. It's verse 22 and 23. And it says, "The faithful love of the Lord never ends. His mercies never cease. Great is his faithfulness. His mercies are new every morning." Did you get that? Every morning, his mercies are new. I cannot run his mercy. He chases me with his mercy. And I can't, his mercy will never run out in my life. I was thinking about during this time of COVID and how our world has changed, and we've been a little bit shaken by things that we just aren't used to here in America. We are not used to going to Wegmans and not having toilet paper there. We're not used to the normal everyday things that we can just walk in a store and get. But God's mercy, it never fails. It never stops, and it's never used up. And there's a new supply every single morning. He is so incredibly faithful. And in spite of knowing of that and knowing of his goodness, we tend to be a forgetful people, or at least I'm a forgetful woman. There are times when I'm in the middle of crisis, or even during this time when just our world is shaken, where we forget. And we start to worry, and we start to fear. And we have to be reminded of who he is. And I know that I don't think there's anybody that hasn't been struggling to some degree with this, with everything that's going on in our world right now. For those that maybe are dealing with doubt and fear, or maybe it's depression and despair, it could be discontentment, and anger, it could be frustration, it could be just impatience, or you could really be struggling with trusting God. You could be wondering, God, are you really good? Those are the things we don't want to say, but sometimes those thoughts come into our minds. And as I was thinking about his incredible faithfulness, I'm reminded of the amazing, amazing news. And that is that even when we don't get it right, even when we don't trust him the way that we should, the way that he's worthy to be trusted, he remains the perfectly faithful one. If you're his child, remember that there is nothing that can separate you from his love. There's nothing that you can do that will make him love you more, and there's nothing that you can do that will make him love you less. He's faithful in his love for you. I think about how he so many times in his word is calling us to get our eyes off of ourselves, off of our circumstances, and to get our eyes on him. Now, why is that? Why does he ask us to do that? It's because he knows that that is where we will find the peace that our souls look for, the peace that we can rest in when we look at him, the perfect, faithful one. And it's not because of the things he does. He is faithful. It's who he is. In 2 Timothy chapter 2, verse 13, it says, if we are unfaithful, he remains faithful, for he cannot deny himself. That's who he is. He is faithful. It's impossible for him not to be faithful. Sometimes we can put our faith and our hope in our circumstances, we can put it in things, and we can put it in people. And they're going to disappoint us. They were never meant to satisfy us. Our hope can be put in a God who is faithful and will not disappoint. That is why the object of our hope is so important. I want to put my hope in the one who is worthy of it. He's the one that came. He lived a perfect life that I couldn't live. He died a death that I deserved. And he made it so that I could have relationship with God because of the cross. He made it so that I can have relationship, and that God can call me his own now, that I can go to him, and he's my Father. He was faithful enough to make a way, to sacrifice it all, to make a way for me to have relationship. How can I not trust him in the good times and in the bad times? He will be true to his promises because he is faithful. You know, we all long for hope, and we have to remind ourselves that our hope isn't in circumstances. Our hope has a name, and his name is Jesus. Maybe your circumstances are upside down right now, but remember, his throne is decidedly right side up. And trust him. Trust him because he is faithful. He's worthy of that. And be at peace. And I hope you have a wonderful day.